And welcome, everyone, to a little Andy Katz chat here for the Pac-12 with Mick Cronin, the head coach of the UCLA Bruins. And, Mick, you've had a good chance now to get well adjusted. You had the spring, the summer, now into the early fall, getting ready to tip off against Long Beach State for the opener. In what way have you been able to put your imprint on this UCLA program so far?
Well, we'll see about that. I on the court as a coach, probably I won't be happy for a couple of years as far as having the guys just used to what I expected them from a style of play standpoint. Just from how we practice to how we warm up, how we treat each other. It just takes time. I keep trying to tell myself that because I want it done yesterday. Like you said, we got a game. We play Long Beach State. And, it's just a time where you have to let them play games. The process of what I could do in the first 5 or 6 months with my staff and the players, everybody's tried really hard, but until you put it all together and you put the we've hit a point where you can't progress until we play games. And that's learning how to win and all the things you try to teach your guys and what you expect of them. So I think all coaches right now, unless you have returning players and 5 guys, like maybe Tom Izzo feels confident right now, I don't know. But those of us with new jobs or you have a lot of new players like Dan Munson does at Long Beach, you're a little apprehensive about what's going to happen in the opener.
Mick, every time we watch the Mick Cronin coach team at Cincinnati, or even before that, we always knew that the team was going to defend. They were going to basically fight down to the last possession. They were going to grind. They were going to be tough. Those kind of characteristics. How close are you to at least getting some of that here at the beginning of the season for UCLA?
Well, you're going to see us compete, and there's no question about that. Now, at what level are you going to compete, and who are you competing against? So that's where the growth will have to be throughout the season. And really, Andy, the great teams, I think when 2 teams plays a 40-minute game, and even in a game where a team loses by 20, they compete. But at some point, though, the onslaught happens. So can you hang in there for 40 minutes and impose your will upon your opponent? That's what we're practicing. Can we hang in there, trade punches with the best of the best, and come out with a victory? So it doesn't mean I think sometimes fans hear, well, they don't play. No, you do, but can you impose your will for 40 minutes, and then can you do it for an entire season? And those are the teams you see in the title game, or last year's championship game. Those teams impose their will the entire season on their opponents. So we're practicing that. I think, like I said, it'd be foolish of me to think that we're ready to do that for 40 minutes every night. But hopefully, through trying to get there, that's our goal, that we'll learn. And once we get there, then we'll have our culture built. All
right, so a couple players I'm interested to hear your opinion on. First, Tyger Campbell, who did not play last season, had a good exhibition. I know it's just an exhibition, but what were your early impressions from Tyger out there as a lead guard? Really a new look for you, for him, and for the fans, because they didn't get a chance to see him last season.
Well, he's really good with the ball. I think, especially in today's game, I'd like to have 3 of him. So you got guys who can make plays. In today's game, you got to spread the floor. You got to have some guys who can beat their man. It's hard to out-coach your opponent, whether he's at Stanislaus State or he's at Long Beach State. And whomever you're coaching against, they have game plans. And you got to have players that break down the other team's defense, whether it's a made shot, penetration, and a basket, or penetration and creating a shot for a teammate. The more of those guys you have, the better offense you're going to have. So you got to have some initiators, is what I'm saying. He's an offensive initiator. He can finish as well, though. So I just keep telling myself he's a freshman. I keep telling myself, he's a freshman. So, we got to keep coaching him, helping him. When you have a young point guard, you really have to help him as a coach. Try to simplify things. So we've tried to, as a coaching staff, figure out ways we can at times put it in his hands so he can take over. At other times, make it easy on him where he doesn't have to have the ball initiating every play for 40 minutes. Because I think that's asking too much and that'll wear him down.
Shareef O'Neal is another player. Medically could not compete last season, so UCLA fans didn't see him last season. He's also new for you as a head coach. What have you thought so far?
Well, I think Shareef's got the best attitude of anybody I've coached in a long time. And I've had some great kids. And he reminds me a lot of Trey Scott that I coached at Cincinnati. Just a wonderful attitude, great person. He wants to learn. The advantage probably that he has that other guys don't have is he's got a dad that tells him, hey, you need to learn. Like, basketball's a lot more. You're not that good. Versus other kids, maybe their parents know how great they are. His dad, he's not that good compared to his dad. So he's a sponge. So that helps. His attitude's off the charts. So just getting him comfortable. And, he's a tall kid. He's grown a few inches since he's been here. So he's 6'9" or so. And getting his comfort zone out there on the court and getting him, just like all young guys, getting him to take his time. But I think the big thing's been probably the last 2 months. He's gotten in great shape where he's able to compete because, he laid in bed for a long time. And when I first got here, he was extremely out of shape. And it was just a mental process for him working back because his heart is fine. So it's just been a mental process and the physical process of getting back in shape.
Yeah, best thing is he's healthy and he's able to play basketball again. These were things that, we couldn't necessarily take for granted a year ago. All right, the one returning player I'm interested in to hear your opinion on is Prince Ellie. Obviously, a lot of expectations with him. Where does he stand right now as we get ready for the season?
Yeah, I think Prince and Alex Olszynski, two guys are going to play a big role for us. We're a very young team, so we don't have guys that average over 20 minutes a game. So we need some, what I call some soldier time out of those guys. You don't have to be great. What we need you to do is be somebody we can count on to not make mistakes. Somebody you can count on to take care of the ball, get in the right spot, get your teammates in the right spot. So that's what veterans do. So we need veteran play from those guys. They can do some things. Obviously, Prince has got talent. Alex can make some shots when he's healthy. I think he's been a guy that's he's been an enigma of his career. He's had so many injuries. People he's become the forgotten man. So he's been healthy for us. So I think they're both really going to help us. But we just need those guys to not make mistakes because we're so young in all the other areas that the young guys are going to make mistakes. So as a coach, you got to figure out, hey, Prince, I got to count on you to not make any and just be somebody I can count on, especially at crunch time when games are on the line.
And lastly, Mick, you're the UCLA coach, okay?
Yes, sir.
Regardless of what's happening in this program, UCLA, those 4 letters mean something. Historically, it's iconic. What's going to be like to walk out on that floor in a real game as the UCLA men's basketball coach at Pauley Pavilion?
Oh, it's a great honor. I talked to Coach Wooden's son, Jim, called him last week, told him how much I was looking forward to it. He's a very nice man, by the way. He's smart, too. He lives down in Orange County where it's awesome. But, it's a great responsibility, obviously, to sit where Coach Wooden sat. But there's a lot of guys still alive that were unbelievable basketball players that won championships at UCLA, got guys that are on television from, Reggie Miller, to Ryan Hollins, Matt Barnes, and these guys are all on TV. You get some great players, and obviously the multiple, 15 guys in the NBA right now. So a lot of responsibility, but at the end of the day, you don't complicate things. Our job, you obviously want to be successful. I'm a competitor. You keep it about the kids in your locker room and showing them what they need to do to be who they want to become, and just focus on that. If you focus on anything outside of that, you'll take your eye off the ball, and it becomes overwhelming, I think. So I had a lot of experience with it. I had to follow Coach Huggins, and he's a legend in Cincinnati.
Appreciate it, Mick. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. It's good to talk to you.